Welcome back to Gold and Black Live. Thanks to Triple X and State Farm agent Trent Johnson for their sponsorship of this show. And thanks mostly to these guys for taking the time out to, it's basketball season. It's football season. Sure, we're obviously all of us getting ready for Purdue and Nebraska tomorrow night, but Cassidy, Hardin, and Ethan Morton don't need any introduction to Purdue fans, and they're busy getting ready for their seasons. First of all, thank you guys for taking the time to join, and you are part of a very special event tomorrow prior to the Purdue football game at Boilermaker Crossing. I think it's going to be at 5 o'clock. You guys are going to be making an appearance with the Purdue Center for Cancer Research. Means a lot to those of us that are involved with the center, but making an appearance to kind of help promote Hammer Down Cancer Day, which is an important day to remind people that research, this is for this Purdue Center for Cancer Research, and all the money that's raised tomorrow and all the awareness that raised really benefits Purdue University's Center for Cancer Research. So that's too long of an introduction, but Cassidy, I'll start with you. You're the sixth-year senior, and what a story you are, just because you made the decision to come back and play your sixth year. You've got some big aspirations of what's next for you from a personal standpoint, but talk about a little bit about how practice is going for you guys and what makes you optimistic heading into the 22-23 season.
Yeah. So we just started official practices a few weeks ago. So far they're going well. We have some new pieces that are, learning stuff, but I think we're ahead of where we were last year at this point. So we're really excited to see, once we start playing games, how that translates. And then our off-court chemistry and the culture that we've built with Coach Gerald's after having a whole year under our belts is just so much better. And I think that that's really going to show this year. And it's really going to help us when it comes to knowing each other on the court and just playing for each other. So really excited for this year and really excited to see what we can do with it.
Yeah, a lot of optimism about where your program is going, and you will be forever remembered as someone that helped build it back to where it wants to be. And I think it seems to be that's heading in that direction. Ethan, you've got you're, like I said, you're with a group of seems like younger guys, but a lot of talent on your basketball team as well. Tell us a little bit about how practice has been going and what there's some new faces that you've been around. It's not like you've just started practice with them, but some real excitement about what's ahead for the 22-23 Boilermakers.
Yeah, man, we're excited. I think we have a really talented group. I think we have a pretty low ego group, which is exciting. It's definitely going to be a different team than last year. Obviously, we were very experienced and very, very talented. So there's going to be a lot of production to replace, but I think everybody in the room is kind of excited to step up, and feel that challenge. It's not going to come from all one person. We have a lot of young guys with inexperience, but I think they're going to learn a lot along the way. So we're just excited, man. There's a lot of great opportunities ahead of us, with a lot of experienced teams in the league. But we feel like we have a great coaching staff, and great players and just great guys. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun this year. So it's just all about taking it one day at a time and learning. I think as long as we keep getting better as the year goes on, we'll be in good shape. So.
All right. One of the things that we talked about prior to getting on, just talking about both of you passionate about cancer and working with the Boilermaker Alliance on this, is just you express that as interest. Tell us about maybe your cancer story, or why that you're passionate about not only research here at Purdue University, but obviously finding a cure for this disease. And Cassidy, I'll start with you.
So I've had a few family members that have been affected by cancer, so it's very near and dear to me. And currently, my aunt, who's like a second mom to me, is battling uterine cancer. Has been for about the last year, and it's been a hard battle. And she's done chemo and trying some new medications and stuff, and so that's been really hard on my family, and just watching her go through that, and just how weak she is, and she's not herself at all. It's really kind of taken a toll on the rest of us as well, because she's normally so vibrant, and she's just, it's not the same. And so it's been really hard. And hopefully, you know, something good happens, a miracle happens, and, you know, she gets through it. But obviously finding a cure is something that really needs to happen. And I think that would, you know, make a lot of lives easier, because I know my family's not the only one going through something like this.
Yeah, understood. Ethan, in your lifespan, what where did that passion come to you?
Yeah, so my grandfather, that he actually passed, it'll be almost 2 years once the season gets going. He had prostate cancer, and he had battled it for a long time, off and on for, I'd say, at least 5 or 6 years. Um, and you know, I kind of, you know, use that and use cancer as he's sort of an inspiration, just because of how he affected my life. You know, he was one of my biggest supporters. You know, he came to every game that I had, whether it was a summer league game or, you know, championship game, no matter where or when it was. You know, he was always there. Um, and just like Cassidy touched on, you know, it's just hard when you have a family member like that you're so close with, that you just know that they're not right.
Yeah.
And you just want so badly for them to be, you know, to be themselves. And, you know, my grandpa, he was such a strong person and strong personality, in a good way, that like pain really would never bother him. And so when he was being bothered by all the treatment stuff, I knew that it was obviously very serious, because he was one of the toughest people I ever met. Um, so that's kind of my connection to it, and just obviously finding a cure for, you know, it's probably the worst disease in the world. Um, you know, finding a cure for that would be awesome, because it would help not just us, but so many, you know, families, you know, all over the world.
Well, guys, thank you for sharing your stories, because it's not always easy to discuss that, especially among very close personal situations. Cassidy, you're a science person, obviously, with plans on going to medical school, and you understand. I'm going to make an assumption that you have some understanding of research and all the things that go on with respect to that. The thing that's amazing about the Center for Cancer Research is Purdue doesn't have a medical school. It has a great school of science and the ability to train students in science, but it's really a team effort here at Purdue. But talk about just that need for research, and maybe it's a basketball analogy, I don't know, but keep finding and keep working towards a goal of finding a cure, but also the need for finances and money to be able to do the research.
Yeah, obviously research is super important. I'm actually involved in research myself on campus, but more with COVID, what my research specializes in. But just like with cancer, anything that doesn't have a cure, or even once things have a cure, if it, you know, sometimes immunity happens, and there's different things like that you have to account for. So like, you have to keep researching, you have to keep learning. You can't just stop or give up. Like, there's always new things that just come out of the woodwork. So getting the finances to continue research, and if there's one thing that you haven't tried and you stop, then you'll never find that one thing. So I feel really strongly about, you know, trying every avenue. So you have to be able to have the means to do that. So I think it's huge. Just continuing research, and just any idea that people have, is you never know what might be the thing that's the breakthrough. So I'm really passionate about research, and continuing the thirst for knowledge.
Ethan, when you look at we've, you know, name, image, and likeness and all of that, but is part of the story for student athletes, and there's been a lot talked about, and it's been I think in many ways a very good conversation to have, because it's an important thing for each of you to have as access to. But the thing that I think is interesting about Purdue and is the Boilermaker Alliance, and that desire to do something. Yes, there's opportunity for you guys financially, but it's also an opportunities to make a difference and to grow on a personal level. Have you had that experience so far with this, and talk maybe a little bit about how you see that from a student athlete perspective?
Yeah, I think NIL is obviously great for a lot of athletes, and everyone will look at it just from a financial side, which is right. Especially athletes that are, much more high profile than myself. These college years can set you up for life, whether you succeed at the next level or not. So that's definitely an important piece of it. But I think what's great about the Boilermaker Alliance, and even just our guys on the team, and I'm sure the women's team as well, is like, we don't look at it as an opportunity like just to like get money or cash a check. Like, we want to make a difference in our community, just because I think it makes the experience when you're playing at home in front of the fans, and like, that you've like connected with them on some level outside of just basketball, like it makes it so much more meaningful. So I think like doing just something as simple as this, like being at a fundraiser, to raise money for cancer research, like, is just so great, because we can obviously, experience being with fans face to face, just in a kind of relaxed setting, while also, building money towards a goal of curing cancer and helping find a cure and all that kind of stuff. So it kind of goes hand in hand. But I think those experiences and just making a difference is definitely more so important than the money. And I think that's why it works. Like, and then you obviously you get the money on the back end, which is great, but like, that's why it works, because you are making such a difference, and people believe in that more so than just, here's a check, because you go to Purdue and you have good name, image, and likeness. I think us putting in the work and really believing in it and caring about it, makes a difference in a lot of people's eyes.
Cassidy, you're nodding your head. So what's your perspective on that?
I agree with everything Ethan said. I think it's so much more than just making money. Obviously helping in the community and allowing people to see us as more than just athletes. We're people just like them. Instead of having us on such a pedestal, they can, see us more on their level. And obviously, I got to help with kids the other week, and, they're so excited that the women's team came, and just like seeing the difference that we're making. To me, that's worth more than any money I could ever get for this kind of stuff. So knowing that tomorrow is going to be building towards finding a cure for cancer makes it so much more special. So again, it's not even about getting money for the name, image, and likeness. It's more about what we're doing in order to make that happen.
And that tomorrow, 5:00 at Boilermaker Crossing. That's between Mackey Arena and the intercollegiate athletic facility where volleyball plays and wrestling wrestles, and that'll be there tomorrow prior to the Purdue Nebraska game. From that standpoint, I want to ask you both about leadership, and you guys both have key roles on your teams, because yes, Cassidy, you're a little bit older, but have been around just a little bit longer. But I'll start with you. Again, transition. You've learned. You've been through a coaching change and new staff. What has that taught you about leadership and trying to do your role in terms of making sure that your teammates get what they need on the court and off the court to have a successful season?
Yeah, last year, it wasn't an easy transition. We went from thinking we were going to have one head coach for the year to switching in, I think, end of September. And then we had to get used to that really quickly before the season. So as a captain last year, even for Coach V, moving into the Coach Gerald's era, had to really step up for my teammates as well, and kind of be the bridge between the coaching staff and the players, and kind of make sure everyone was on the same page and open communication, that kind of thing. So I really had to step up and kind of get out of my comfort zone, because I'd say I'm, more of a shy person and don't really like being super vocal. But I knew that's what my team needed. And in order for us to be successful, I, had to, like I said, get out of my comfort zone and do everything I could to make sure my team was in the best position possible for the season. So from a leadership standpoint, I really grew, and, I'm taking that into this year as well.
Ethan, what's leadership look like for you? Because you've got some really talented freshmen that are going to play this year, and a lot, and some are may even actually compete for your time, and yet you've got to be in a situation to, my guess would be to make sure that also help make sure that the attitude is right on this basketball team. But what have you learned in your experience so far? And you've had a different experience in each of your 2 years, coming with some health issues in your freshman year on down. Both of you had to deal with COVID and that challenge. What has that taught you as you head into this season?
I was really lucky to have the group of guys that we had the past 2 years to learn from a leadership standpoint. Guys like Eric and Travion and Sasha, come to mind. Even Aaron Wheeler when he was here too. As older guys, I kind of got to see it firsthand, like how to handle your business, and then also how to handle young guys, like being the young guys that they had to deal with. So now it's crazy how like the script is flipped and I'm an older guy on the team because I don't feel old. But the biggest thing that they taught us was like, you got to bring the young guys along no matter what, because you're going to need them, and especially for us with such a young team, like we're going to need all hands on deck. So you can't worry about yourself. Like you just have to do what's best for the team. And at the end of the day, whatever needs to happen to get the job done, get the job done. So, again, kind of like Cassidy hit on as far as being vocal. It's sometimes been a challenge for me in my career just because, how it goes. Like if you're maybe not like a high production, high level type guy, you don't always feel like, oh, like, should I be saying this or saying anything because, I don't play that much or whatever. And I still haven't produced at a high level. Hopefully, that can change some this year. But I think now just being an older guy, whether I have in the past or not, like just being vocal for these young guys and helping them learn because we have a pretty complex system is going to be super important. And then still being vocal with the older guys too, because we're all, even the guys that have been around, everyone's stepping into new and different roles. So I think the open lines of communication and just putting belief in each other and pushing each other and knowing how to handle everybody differently, I think, it will be really important for us and for me. And I'm excited for it. Leadership has always kind of excited me, and I thought I did okay at it in high school. And then I realized when I got here, I could have been like 10 times better at it. So I've had to tweak, some of the things that I used to do. But I'm excited for the rest of the year and the challenge, that's going to pose just from a leadership standpoint.
All right. Both of you guys like to play in front of crowds and passionate crowds. And I'm going to ask you, you don't have to analyze tomorrow night's football game, but I do want you to know from a student perspective, it's a big deal to have a full stadium and students being shoulder to shoulder and in an environment that we expect to see when Nebraska comes to Ross-Ade Stadium. Cassie, I'll start with you. I don't know if you grew up a big time college football fan growing up at Center Grove, but tell me about just what that means to you to have a full house tomorrow night and the lights being on and a lot of attention on Purdue football tomorrow.
I think it's awesome, packing the Ross-Ade and just having all those people turn out to, watch Purdue play. And I think it makes a difference having a crowd versus other teams that don't draw as much of a crowd as any Purdue athletics do. I just know that, like you said, I came from Center Grove. Football was a big deal at Center Grove.
Yes, it was. It is.
It still is. Yeah.
Yep.
So we draw a big crowd there and, always had students at the game, everyone cheering super loud. And then to come here where it's the same way when, everyone wants to support their team, everyone wants a Purdue win. And just even being a part of the fans, I can't imagine what the players feel being on the field, but it's just an amazing atmosphere to be a part of. And I think it makes a difference when it comes to the game itself.
High school football is getting bigger in Indiana, but it's always been big in Pennsylvania. And I think that's an understatement. Tell me a little bit about what you think in terms of your experience now that you see it on often in Ross-Ade Stadium, Ethan, when you come to West Lafayette.
Yeah, I've seen it my whole life. Whether it was going to just local football games, going to watch, Pitt and more so even Penn State. Obviously, they have one of the best atmospheres in the country. The Steelers are the same way. And it makes such a difference. You know, me and Cassidy have experienced it. When you go into a hostile road environment, it's just so hard to function. You know, Coach Payne always says when you're on the road, you basically spot the other team 8 to 10 points if it's a good atmosphere, just because there's so many things that you're affected by. So I think, you know, having a great atmosphere like we've had every game at home, every football game this year, you know, makes such a difference. You know, like the Penn State game at home was awesome. You know, I think the fans were unbelievable, and it's not a surprise. I mean, we have the best college fans in the country. But it makes such a difference. I even go back to high school, and you know, the support that we got from our community just for our basketball games was just so unbelievable. And it just, like I said, it just makes such a difference. So especially tomorrow night, you know, you're playing for first place in the West. It's a big time night game. You know, I'm sure there's going to be a packed house, and the players are going to be juiced. And you know, you just never know. It can make a huge difference in a game. It can turn the tide on one play.
No doubt. And that's going to be the fun part of that. Hey guys, you're going to start the day off well for a lot of Purdue fans, because it makes like you said, it makes a big difference when kids come up to you and see you not only as basketball players, but students and real folks, so to speak. And I know that people that will get a chance to meet you tomorrow at 5 o'clock at the Boilermaker Crossing, you will make a difference in their lives. And we appreciate that very much. I'll speak from my Center for Cancer Research hat. Thank you for taking the time to do it. And thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show today. So I hope you have a great weekend. And yeah, I suppose you got exhibition games starting here in it seems like about 2 weeks. So it's going to be tip time before long for you guys. Good luck for this season. Thanks again for your time, and we appreciate it very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you having us.
All right, we'll be back for segment 3, Gold and Black Live, as we'll talk a little more Purdue, Nebraska. These guys gave good analysis of what the environment's going to be like. Brian and Tom will tell you maybe what we're going to see on the field as well when Purdue takes on Nebraska on Saturday night. So again, guys, have a great rest of your weekend. Thanks again for taking the time.
Thank you.